What's up, everybody? It's me, M Good Enough, back today, but we're doing something a little bit different. Just yesterday, I was delivered my box from Avatar Legends, the tabletop role-playing game taking place in the Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra universe. I just got all this stuff, and I wanted to share what all I got with everybody else. So, the when I sent the money to them on what is it, Kickstarter, I think I got the pledge of like the $75 one. So I don't think I got everything, but I think I got like the mid-range level. I didn't just get the book, I didn't just get the dice, I got quite a bit of stuff. So we're gonna go biggest to smallest, or smallest to biggest, starting with the Pie Show White Lotus tile, which I think is super adorable. It's got great detail on both sides, and they're both painted very well. And I could see you using this also with the map so that your group can kind of see where they are in the world, but I will most likely be playing this only online, but it acts as a great little fidget to just kind of twist it as you're playing. So super happy. This is going to be, honestly, while I am DMing, this is probably going to be something that I fidget with. I'm even doing it right now. Okay, I have to stop. Next, which I am very thankful for because I'm going to be able to share this with my players and mostly just have it for myself, is they give you a combat action deck. So these are the different actions you can take that your player characters and NPCs can take during combat. And it's really cute because on the back of the little index cards, we'll just kind of fan them out a little bit, are different avatar characters. So you saw Aang, there's Korra, there's Zuko, there's Toph. There are so many characters, and it looks like that they come in sets of 3. The moves that you can take in Avatar are as follows, and you can find this information in their simple Kickstarter version that everyone could download. Your attacks can typically go between either evade or advance and attack, evade and observe, or defend and maneuver. And it tells you exactly what you can do with those moves. And as a DM or a GM, however you want to call it, it has an NPC version as well. And then it also has different status conditions that your player characters, and again, your NPCs, will have. So, super happy. I love a little informational that I can just flip through really quick and look up exactly what I need. I have the same thing for when I play Dungeons & Dragons, where it has all of the little different, things you could find yourself in, whether that be stunned, deafened, blinded, etc. I can just look at my little card and see what exactly that means. So it's good to have that for this brand new tabletop role-playing game that a lot of people are going to probably take a look at, given what's currently happening with Dungeons and Dragons. But we're not going to talk about that, because there are plenty of other people talking about that who know so much more than I do, and by all means, check them out instead. Next, I received a set of dice, and it took me a second to realize, like, oh, why did I get, just D6s or a simple cube dice? And I was like, right, this game runs by Power of Apocalypse, where you only use D6s. So that took me a second to remember, and I'm pretty sure that's That is the name of the system that uses it. But it's really cute because something that was either luck or they aimed for, because of this, there are 6 different trainings, essentially, that your character can invest in. That be waterbending, earthbending, firebending, and airbending, but then 2 more specifically technology. So like an Asami character who builds a lot of stuff and has a lot of wit, or a weapons master, kind of like Sokka with his boomerang and everything. You could say that Sokka's also technology, but Asami's much more clearly a technology character. So obviously it goes through 1 through 6, but the number 6 on it, which would be in this version kind of like a crit, are the different little emblems for each one. Maybe you can see everything. And it's really cute. And I just love that they included that. It's kind of 2 things. I'm excited to have them to just look at, but also it would be kind of fun to hand these out to your actual players to let them borrow, so that, no one ever forgets their dice because you have them, and hopefully you don't forget them. But 2, whatever person is playing whatever class, or essentially, you can give them their dice, and that would be fun. Up next is, honestly, I was pretty excited for this as well, because you can't see, but when I play Dungeons and Dragons, I typically use the map that's in the book and just pull it out and hang it up, so I always have that as a reference. So I just kind of like maps and big tapestries, obviously. What they included is a cloth map of the Avatar universe, or the Avatar world, with all 4 nations. We have the Fire Nation, Earth Nation, the Water Tribes, and the Air Nomads, all represented. All 4 elements in the corners. It's just honestly so beautiful, and I love that it's a woven map. It's actual fabric, not just paper. That makes it feel a bit more classy. So when I'm hanging it up and people are like, "Oh, what's that?" It's like, "Oh, it's from Avatar: The Last Airbender." It's like, but it's important. Next, I honestly thought this next thing was a little, well, you'll see. It is a dice bag with the 4 nations' emblems embroidered into the bag. Because of this system, you don't really need that many dice. I was like, why would they give you this? I'm just like, oh, it's probably for all the people who play this and other systems that require more dice. So I'm like, they probably realize that this is not going to be the only game that they play, but they can still represent it no matter what, as long as you have your Avatar Legends dice bag, which honestly a very nice quality bag as well, and the little clasp on it to tighten it is actual metal, so that's not, it's nice to actually see it be metal instead of just real cheap plastic. It's the little things that I enjoy. Okay, now this next part was a little bit of a letdown, only because the paper inside is not lined. I got, 5 little notebooks of, they're they're fairly small, but my biggest frustration is that all of the books are filled with blank paper. Not lined paper, they're all blank. I wish they could have given us like a little variety in it, because like I'm probably not gonna use these, and not because I also just generally don't like to use decorative notebooks. I have like Star Wars notebooks and other notebooks that I'm like, they're too pretty to write in. These, they are too pretty to write in, but also I'm not going to for sure, because I prefer lined paper when I'm like planning a session or anything. Or at the very least, like grid paper. I can't imagine using just a plain white piece of paper to plan my session. I guess let me know if you do. If you do, great, but it's a little weird. The other thing that I got, if I remember correctly, you got to choose when you entered in at the level that I did. And in one of the books, I believe it's the Wang Shitong's Adventurer's Guide, they have relatively short, little campaigns for you to run. Just like one-shots or to make part of your campaign with full character descriptions and story and even pre-generated characters that already are tied in to the story, so it's a little bit easier to get going and started. I decided that I would get the Earth and Root version that takes place in the Kyoshi time period, because let's be honest, Kyoshi pretty much is the best avatar. If anyone has read the novels that star Kyoshi, The Rise of Kyoshi, and I'm looking at it right now, The Rise of Kyoshi and the next one, they are so good. I highly recommend reading them, or at the very least listening to them on Audible. It's just so nice to have a new story in that world and to see so much more development for that character that we've seen and love, and to like just see how she got her start. It's so good. And then currently finished the one with Yang Chen. I think it's The Dawn of Yang Chen. Also very good. I'm not going to spoil anything. I was like, ooh, there's one other thing I could say, but no, I'm not going to spoil it. But yeah, I chose, it's called Earth and Root, and it takes place in the Kyoshi time period, the Kyoshi era, as we call it in the game. And it takes place in Ba Sing Se. I'm very excited. Oh, and even in the back it says 2 to 4 hours. That's probably playtime. Rating everyone, players 3 to 6. Okay, so that's nice. It says it's a full adventure complete with NPC write-ups and mechanics, expanded setting material for the Kyoshi era, a certain NPC who might be able to teach other characters special techniques, the pre-generated characters that I mentioned, and also it has the different techniques that your characters can learn. Techniques are essentially like their moves that they can do depending on what style of action they're choosing to take that turn. Now we're kind of getting to the big stuff. Second to last is what I was most excited about seeing, because this was not guaranteed, I believe, when I joined, and was one of the stretch goals, but it is the Wang Shitong's Adventurer Guide. And it's essentially, to those who know Dungeons & Dragons, it's kind of like an expanded set of moves and characters and information, much like Xanathar's Guide to Everything or Atasha's Cauldron of Everything. So, seeing this actually put together was very exciting. And another one of the small things that I really enjoyed about both of these books, and even the little pamphlet of Earth and Root, this one, the paper inside, I know it's such a stupid thing, but like the paper inside is so nice and like good quality texturally. To just flip through everything, it feels amazing. Honestly, I'm so happy that they took the time to invest in like the good paper and like the quality of the book. Opening it, you know how sometimes your spine of the book can get bendy and kind of messed up and you have to like flatten it out. Everything just feels like it folds over very easily. It's super great. But yeah, it has different NPCs that we would recognize from the Legend of Korra series and the Avatar series, as well as new playbooks. It has how many? 4 new playbooks that aren't included in the just original play guide. And then it has, I believe, 4 different stories that you and your players can do with already filled in characters and everything, much like my Earth and Root. So there's the Earth and Root with Kyoshi in the Kyoshi era, Fire and Brimstone in the Roku era. Next is Ash and Steel in the 100-Year War time period, just before Aang awoke. And then there's Air and Wind with Avatar Aang. And the last is Water and Mist, the Korra time period. It's just such a good quality. Both of these books are such good quality. It was very, very nice flipping through all these pages. And finally, what everyone, including myself, has been waiting for quite some time, the official Avatar Legends, the role-playing game guidebook. Everything you need to play in this beloved setting and create your own heroic legends. Something that I forgot to mention in these 2 books is that they have, these little ribbons for keeping place in your book. This one has 2. I don't know why this isn't more common to just have like different, especially in these types of books where, you're gonna want to go to and flip between like 2, maybe 3 sets of pages. To have just multiple ribbons so that you can bookmark each page, I don't understand why all like informational books don't just have tons of ribbons to just flip through, put the ribbon in, go back, and just open and close as you need. That's such a good idea, and it seems so simple. And it's like very surprising that I have not seen that in any other kind of book. So again, with me, it's the small things like that where I'm just like, that's nice. That's a real good input. So yeah, in the book, it has so much information. It has how to just, even in the beginning, just what is an RPG? What is a role-playing game? How does that work? It goes through all of that. It tells you about the different eras in the entire world of Avatar. Obviously, it talks about the parts of play and how to make your characters and the moves and everything. It includes the 10 core playbooks, which are essentially the actual classes that you can take in these in this type of role-playing game. It has obviously the information for dungeon masters or game masters. A lot about how to set up an adventure in this style, because like myself, who has mainly only played Dungeons and Dragons, there is not a lot of you go A to B to C to D. It's a lot more loose and just kind of like, here's this plot point that needs to happen. Here's this plot point that needs to happen. And there's a lot of different routes in between this plot point and this plot point that your players can take. And it relies on your players taking that initiative instead of you setting up this storyline for them to follow. It's just like, here's this information. What are you going to do with it? How are you going to go? Final pages in the appendix, we have the different techniques for waterbending, earthbending, firebending, and airbending, as well as different techniques specifically for weapons and technology. And I know technology seems like it's probably only going to take place in the Korra era, or maybe even a little bit in the Aang era. But they have, in Earth and Root, one of the pre-generated characters is about using technology. So don't think that just because you're in either Avatar, Roku, or Kyoshi that your player characters or you yourself couldn't be a technology type of character. I haven't fully gotten into all of the characters yet. I haven't had much of a chance to look at everything. They have the NPCs, obviously the avatar for each era. And one thing that I find very pleasant is that, you know, they have Kyoshi, Roku, Aang, Korra for the time period in which there is no avatar because Aang is frozen, that 100 years. The master NPC that you would have in your back pocket if you needed anything to happen is General Iroh, Uncle Iroh, which I just find very sweet. All of the art inside this book is beautiful and done just as we all have seen in the show, especially the new art for the different characters, like the Icon and the Guardian. To just see more of that art style is honestly very exciting. That is everything that I got yesterday when this came in the mail. And I just wanted to share it with everyone that watches, because I think this is going to be a very exciting system to run in a already loved universe. I honestly can't wait for my current D&D campaign to end so that I can get started on creating this world. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be completely different than what I'm used to. But you know, you have to make changes every now and again, and I think this is going to be a very happy and welcome change. So I'm excited. If you don't have a copy of it, they do have a free copy online somewhere. I will post that later when I find out exactly where it is. And they do have a tabletop, virtual tabletop version that you can connect with something like Roll20. So I would highly recommend joining me and the, I think, thousands of other people who are going to be playing this very soon.